Life is unpredictable. Challenges will come, people will disappoint you, and hardships will test your patience. But true strength is not in controlling the world, it is in controlling yourself. The Stoics knew this well. They trained their minds to remain calm, no matter the storm. Today I will share 6 key principles to help you do the same. The foundation of a calm and resilient mind begins with understanding what is within our control and what is not. This simple yet profound realization lies at the heart of Stoicism. The ancient Stoics taught that much of human suffering arises not from external events themselves, but from our mistaken belief that we can control things beyond our power. When we grasp this truth, we free ourselves from unnecessary distress and cultivate inner peace. Consider the events of daily life: traffic delays, unexpected criticism, financial setbacks, or even the loss of a loved one. These occurrences, no matter how frustrating or painful, exist outside our direct control. However, what remains entirely in our power is how we respond to them. A person who has trained their mind according to Stoic principles understands that fighting against what is inevitable only leads to suffering. Instead, they focus on the one thing they can always govern: their own mind. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote extensively on this concept in his personal reflections. He reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is a timeless lesson. We often waste energy trying to manipulate the world around us, wishing people would behave differently, circumstances would change, or fate would be kinder. But the external world is indifferent to our desires. If we base our happiness on things beyond our control, we will be forever at the mercy of chance. To internalize this principle, one must develop the habit of separating events into 2 categories: those that can be influenced and those that cannot. If something falls within our control, such as our actions, thoughts, and choices, then we should act wisely and take responsibility. If something lies beyond our reach, such as the opinions of others, the past, or the future, then we must practice acceptance and let go. This is not an act of passivity, but one of great discipline and strength. It is about directing our energy where it truly matters. Imagine a scenario in which you are preparing for an important job interview. You study, refine your skills, and present yourself well. These are things within your control. However, the final decision, the employer's judgment, the competition, or unforeseen circumstances is outside your hands. If you understand the dichotomy of control, you will do your best and then release attachment to the result. Whether you are hired or not does not define your worth. What matters is that you acted with diligence and integrity. This mindset extends beyond personal ambitions and into moments of adversity. Suppose you experience a betrayal by a trusted friend. It is natural to feel hurt, but dwelling on their actions only prolongs suffering. You cannot control their choices, but you can control how you respond, whether to hold on to bitterness or to move forward with wisdom and grace. A Stoic does not allow external misfortune to dictate their internal state. They understand that peace comes not from controlling the world, but from mastering their own thoughts. The practice of applying this principle requires daily mindfulness. Whenever you find yourself frustrated, ask, "Is this within my control?" If the answer is no, let it go. Redirect your focus toward actions that are within your power. Over time, this habit transforms your perspective. You will no longer be easily disturbed by insults, delays, or disappointments. Instead, you will remain steady, unshaken by the turbulence of life. By mastering the dichotomy of control, you gain a profound sense of freedom. No longer a slave to circumstances, you become the master of your own destiny, not in the sense of bending reality to your will, but in choosing how you meet reality with wisdom. In a world of uncertainty, this is the ultimate form of strength. One of the most powerful tools in Stoicism for cultivating resilience and gratitude is negative visualization. This practice involves consciously imagining the loss of things we hold dear: our health, our loved ones, our possessions, and even our own lives. While this may seem like a bleak exercise, it is not about dwelling in fear or sorrow. Instead, it is a way to prepare the mind for adversity and to deepen our appreciation for what we have in the present. In modern life, people often take their blessings for granted. We assume that our family, our career, our home, and our comforts will always be there. This assumption breeds complacency, and when misfortune inevitably strikes, we are caught off guard, overwhelmed by grief and frustration. The Stoics believed that by contemplating loss in advance, we could develop a mindset that is both prepared for hardship and deeply appreciative of what we already possess. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, advised that we should frequently reflect on the impermanence of all things. He wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." In other words, when we mentally rehearse difficulties before they arise, we strip them of their ability to devastate us. If we have already imagined losing something, we are less likely to be shattered when it is taken from us. Instead, we meet the situation with calm acceptance. For instance, consider your most cherished relationships. Imagine, just for a moment, that today is the last time you will see a loved one. How would that change the way you treat them? Would you be more patient, more affectionate, more present? This simple exercise reminds us that nothing in life is guaranteed. By reflecting on the possibility of loss, we shift our focus from petty grievances to gratitude. We begin to cherish every moment, recognizing its fleeting nature. This practice is equally useful in facing external hardships. Suppose you are anxious about losing your job. Instead of letting fear consume you, take a moment to vividly imagine what life would be like if that were to happen. Envision the struggles, the adjustments, and the opportunities that could emerge from it. In doing so, you prepare yourself emotionally, reducing the element of shock if it ever comes to pass. You may even realize that, though difficult, such a situation would not be the end of the world. Negative visualization is not about pessimism, it is about mental fortification. When we anticipate misfortune, we do not invite it, we merely remove its power over us. We become adaptable, understanding that loss is a natural part of life. We also cultivate a sense of perspective, realizing that many of our daily worries are insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Through this practice, we learn to value what we have while we have it. We become more resilient in the face of adversity and more present in moments of joy. Rather than fearing loss, we embrace life with a newfound depth of appreciation, knowing that nothing lasts forever, and that is precisely why it is so precious. One of the greatest signs of inner strength is the ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. In life, we are constantly confronted with situations that test our patience, harsh words, unexpected setbacks, unfair treatment. Most people react instinctively, allowing their emotions to dictate their actions. They snap in anger, act out of fear, or make rash decisions they later regret. The Stoics, however, understood that true power lies in mastering one's response. To react is to surrender control. It is to allow external events to dictate our mood, our behavior, and ultimately, our character. A person who reacts emotionally to every challenge is like a ship tossed about by the waves, with no steady direction. But one who responds with wisdom and composure is like a captain who holds the wheel firmly, navigating even the roughest seas with purpose. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. We do not always control what happens, but we always control how we interpret and respond to it. Between an event and our response, there exists a crucial moment to pause. It is in this pause that our power lies. If we train ourselves to use that pause wisely, we transform our entire approach to life. Imagine you are driving, and another driver recklessly cuts you off. The instinctive reaction might be anger, honking, shouting, or dwelling on the injustice of it. But what does this achieve? It only ruins your peace of mind. A Stoic, however, would pause and consider, does this truly affect my life in any meaningful way? Can I change what has already happened? By choosing not to react emotionally, they maintain their composure and continue their day unaffected. This principle applies in relationships as well. Suppose someone insults you. The natural reaction might be to retaliate, to defend your pride. But a measured response would be to ask, is this worth my energy? Is the opinion of this person truly significant? More often than not, the wisest response is to let go, to refuse to be provoked by the words of others. When you master your response, you free yourself from the control of external forces. Practicing this skill requires discipline. It means learning to observe your emotions without being ruled by them. It means training yourself to breathe, to reflect, and to act with intention rather than impulse. Over time, this ability strengthens, and you become unshaken by the small irritations that once disturbed you. The person who responds rather than reacts gains an incredible advantage in life. They make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and remain calm under pressure. They do not waste energy on things beyond their control. Instead, they channel their focus toward what truly matters. This is the path to true strength, not in overpowering others, but in mastering oneself. Amor Fati, a Latin phrase meaning love of fate, is one of the most powerful Stoic principles. It is the idea that we should not only accept what happens to us, but embrace it fully, seeing every event, good or bad, as necessary and beneficial. This mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities, suffering into growth, and uncertainty into wisdom. It is not merely resignation to fate, but an active love for whatever life brings. Most people resist adversity. When something goes wrong, they complain, wish things were different, or dwell on how unfair life is. This resistance creates suffering, not the event itself. A Stoic, however, understands that life is not meant to conform to our desires. Instead of resenting hardship, they learn to welcome it, knowing that even misfortune has its purpose. By adopting Amor Fati, one finds peace not in changing the external world, but in changing one's perception of it. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, embodied this principle. He faced endless political struggles, betrayal, and even the loss of his children. Yet, in his meditations, he reminded himself, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This is Amor Fati. Instead of seeing obstacles as setbacks, he viewed them as fuel for growth. Imagine losing a job. The typical reaction might be anger, frustration, or despair. But a Stoic practicing Amor Fati would instead ask, "What can this teach me? How can this be used to my advantage?" Perhaps it is an opportunity to find something better, to develop new skills, or to reinvent oneself. By embracing rather than resisting, one transforms loss into progress. This principle also applies to past regrets. Many people dwell on mistakes, replaying moments they wish had gone differently. But the past is unchangeable. Amor Fati teaches that even our failures were necessary, leading us to where we are now. Instead of wishing for a different past, we learn to appreciate it, recognizing that every event, no matter how painful, was a part of our journey. It is easy to love life when everything is going well, but true wisdom comes in loving life even when it is difficult. This does not mean denying pain or pretending that suffering does not exist. It means acknowledging hardship while also seeing its value. A person who embraces Amor Fati no longer fights reality. They flow with it, understanding that every twist in the road is part of their unique path. By practicing Amor Fati, we free ourselves from the burden of what if and why me. We stop resisting the inevitable and start working with it. We learn to find beauty in every moment, not just the pleasant ones. And in doing so, we unlock a deeper sense of peace, one that no external event can shake. This is the ultimate power, to not only accept life but to love it exactly as it is. One of the greatest sources of anxiety, frustration, and disappointment in life is attachment to outcomes. People set goals, work hard, and hope for specific results, whether it's getting a promotion, winning someone's approval, or achieving financial success. When things do not go as expected, they feel defeated, as if their efforts were wasted. Stoicism teaches us a different way: to focus on the process rather than the outcome, to give our best effort but release our attachment to the results. Detaching from outcomes does not mean giving up ambition or settling for mediocrity. It means understanding that while we can control our actions, we do not control the final result. Many factors influence outcomes: circumstances, timing, other people's choices, luck. The Stoic approach is to put in the work, act with integrity, and then accept whatever follows with equanimity. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, taught that our role is like that of an archer. The archer controls their aim, their technique, and their focus. But once the arrow leaves the bow, the outcome is out of their hands. A gust of wind, a sudden movement of the target, or sheer chance could change the result. If the archer is wise, they do not despair over missing the target. Instead, they reflect on their technique, improve where possible, and shoot again. Consider a situation where someone applies for their dream job. They prepare diligently, craft a perfect resume, and perform well in the interview. But in the end, they are not selected. A person attached to the outcome would feel crushed, believing they failed. They might dwell on the rejection, question their worth, or lose motivation. A Stoic, however, would view it differently. They would recognize that they did everything within their control, and that the decision was ultimately out of their hands. Instead of despair, they would move forward, knowing that their effort was not wasted. This mindset is liberating because it removes unnecessary suffering. When we tie our happiness to external outcomes, we make ourselves vulnerable to disappointment. But when we focus on what we can control, our effort, our discipline, our attitude, we create a sense of inner peace. Success then is not defined by the outcome, but by the integrity of our actions. Detachment from outcomes also strengthens resilience. Life is unpredictable and setbacks are inevitable. When we accept this reality, we become less shaken by failures and more willing to keep moving forward. A person who is not attached to results is adaptable, able to shift directions without bitterness or regret. The goal is not to become indifferent, but to cultivate a mindset that is free from the chains of expectation. When we do our best and let go of the rest, we experience a new kind of freedom, one where we are no longer slaves to fortune but masters of our own perspective. True peace comes not from achieving everything we desire, but from learning to be content with whatever comes. Memento Mori, a Latin phrase meaning remember that you must die, is one of the most profound and transformative teachings of Stoicism. At first, it may seem morbid or unsettling to reflect on one's own mortality, but in reality, this practice is meant to awaken a deeper appreciation for life. By reminding ourselves that our time is limited, we gain clarity about what truly matters. We stop wasting time on trivial worries, grudges, and distractions, and instead focus on living with purpose, virtue, and presence. Most people live as if they have endless time. They procrastinate on their dreams, avoid difficult but meaningful conversations, and allow themselves to be consumed by small frustrations. They act as if tomorrow is guaranteed, when in truth, every day could be their last. The Stoics saw this as a dangerous illusion. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "You are living as if destined to live forever. Your own frailty never occurs to you. You don't notice how much time has already passed, but squander it as though you had a full and overflowing supply." This realization that time is our most precious and finite resource should shake us awake. Memento Mori is not about fearing death. It is about using its inevitability as a tool for living better. When we accept that death can come at any moment, we begin to prioritize what is truly important. We stop wasting time on superficial pursuits and start focusing on what brings meaning: deep relationships, acts of kindness, personal growth, and the pursuit of wisdom. The fear of death is often rooted in regret for the things left unsaid, the chances not taken, the time wasted on anger or pettiness. But when we live with an awareness of death, we minimize regret by making the most of every moment. Imagine waking up each day with the thought that it could be your last. How would you live differently? Would you still hold on to grudges? Would you still postpone telling your loved ones how much they mean to you? Would you still waste hours consumed by anxiety over things that, in the grand scheme of life, are insignificant? This mindset shifts our perspective. Instead of taking life for granted, we begin to cherish even the smallest moments: a conversation with a friend, the warmth of the sun, the simple act of breathing. The Stoics also saw Memento Mori as a way to cultivate courage. Fear of death paralyzes many people, keeping them from taking risks or embracing change. But when we recognize that death is natural and inevitable, we stop letting fear control us. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, reminded himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is a call to action to live fully, to align our actions with our values, and to ensure that when our final moment arrives, we can meet it without regret. The practice of Memento Mori can take many forms. Some Stoics would reflect daily on their mortality, reminding themselves that each breath brings them closer to the end. Others would meditate on the deaths of those who came before them, recognizing that even the greatest emperors, warriors, and philosophers all met the same fate. Some would even keep symbols of death, a skull, an hourglass, or a fading candle to serve as constant reminders of life's impermanence. Far from being a depressing exercise, Memento Mori is a liberating one. It frees us from illusions, from trivial concerns, from the mistaken belief that we have unlimited time. It urges us to be present, to love deeply, to act with integrity, and to leave nothing meaningful unsaid or undone. Death is inevitable, but a wasted life is not. By remembering our mortality, we learn how to truly live.